Good. It's a roadmap of what has to be done. Good. Outlines one's goals and objectives for a project. A plan well thought out of. Good. Decision-making document that provides direction. Very good. A plan of action, a documented plan, time-bound plan. Good. You truly do understand what a strategic plan is. And when I say it's a roadmap, okay, a roadmap of what we're going to do during a specific time and how we're going to get it done. All right. In today's language, we call it a GPS, right? Do you guys use GPSs in Jamaica? Yes, no?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Okay.
Sometimes.
So a GPS basically says where I am now and you put in your destination. And the GPS will tell you how to get there. And it may give you several options on how to get there. Okay. Now, why am I using, GPS? Why am I saying that? Because in 5 or 10 years, the word roadmap may not be used anymore. Okay. So we're in a transition of language. All right. Technology is transitioning us. The world is changing and it transitions us. Let me give you a short story. Before the 2000s, before the Millennium Development Goals, people who did evaluation did assessments. Okay. And then during the 2000s, they found out that those assessments didn't have measurable tools to measure the outcomes. And they also did not have a starting point. Okay. You didn't have anything to start with, so you didn't know where zero was. So how do you measure? Okay. How do you measure what you've accomplished? Well, that was one of the downfalls of the Millennium Development Goals. At the end of 15 years, they really couldn't measure how much had happened. So with the Sustainable Development Goals that start in 2015 and go to 2030, that is the whole methodology. Baseline surveys are the foundation of every program, and that's what you're going to measure your outcomes. So it became monitoring and evaluation. Now, prior, people used the word assessment. Over the years, their assessment tools got more sophisticated, and they were doing monitoring and evaluation. But if you didn't change your words to monitoring and evaluation, people didn't know you knew how to do it. All right? So keep up with the terminology. It doesn't mean that we throw it into our proposals, because our proposals are meant to be for the average reader. But we have to understand the development of tools, technology, and wording. All right. Please put up the, yes, there we go. A strategic plan report should not need to be more than 5 to 10 pages. And I'm going to go over these individually. You need a cover page. You need a letter of authorization from your governing board chair. Whoever makes the final decisions of your organization. If you're a member of government, then it's going to have to be the head person of government that oversees you. If you have a board of directors, your board chair. Okay, there must be a letter of authorization showing that this statement, this strategic plan is in fact accepted by our board and our organization. A platform statement. Now we're going to go over this later on today. A platform statement explains who you are. Now, who you are is not just we do agriculture. Who you are is who you are in terms of your sector, your country, and the world. How do you fit in there? Ideologically, ethically, sophistication wise. So a platform statement is very important, and it's never more than one page. A vision. Now, I say, and if you read all the documents out there, a vision should be a dream statement. It should not be something that is practical. In other words, a vision is not something I'm going to accomplish next week. It's not something I'm going to accomplish this year or even 10 years from now. Let me give you what I just came up with as a possible vision for organizations like yours. We envision a world with a healthy, sustainable, and poison-free food supply. Okay? That says a lot. First of all, it envisions it not just for your country, but for the world. Is this going to happen in our lifetime? Probably not. Okay? But it's a vision, and this is what we're working towards. We want healthy food. We want sustainable food. We want poison-free food. What does poison-free mean? That means we're not doing things to our environment. We're using all the right, we're not using chemicals. We're using the right way to harvest our crops, to seed our crops in the first place. So it says a lot in that few words. Those are 13 words. Okay. Now, a mission statement is just as important. And it should be a mission that you are expecting to attain at some point, and usually within your strategic plan period. So if your strategic plan is for 3 to 5 years, then your mission should be something that you can accomplish during that 3 to 5 years. I'm going to read you a mission statement of an agricultural polytechnic in Western Nigeria. It says, our mission is to reinstate the culture of agriculture in Nigeria by developing trained workforces for national and global development with entrepreneurship, vocational, and technical and leadership skills. Okay? What they're saying is we're a college, we do teaching, we bring in youth, we teach them, but we're going to teach them, okay, about reinstating the culture of agriculture. That's a very important concept. So they said in 24 words, they said something very important. All right. The next thing is, in a strategic plan report, you have an executive summary of your project or need concept. And no more one page. You never do more than one page on a concept. The next thing you need is a strategic action plan chart followed by a narrative. You always, whenever you put a chart in a proposal, you always have a narrative with it. People like charts. They find it easy to look at the chart information, but they still need the narrative to clarify what that chart really is saying. You need a revenue raising plan and a revenue raising plan narrative. That's not about the project. That's about your organization. How do you raise money? And what is your plan to raise that money? Okay. Then the final thing that needs to be in your strategic plan report is a revenue raising budget with a revenue raising budget narrative. Okay. Now, if there's any questions about what belongs in a report, we can talk about this probably in our next session, in our final session. If people have real questions about this, all right, this is one of those wrap-up type of issues that we should be talking about. But does anyone have a question right now that they want answered about this?
I just wanted to ask if this document is usually required as a part of a project proposal or is usually separately requested.
Okay. You can use this in several different ways. When you are meeting with possible partners, possible donors, when you're meeting them, possible corporations, individuals with money, they want to see something substantial that says everything that they need to know so that you can actually talk about a project with them. The other thing that it does is it gives all your board members and all your management people the same script. So they all know the right things about your organization. There's nothing worse than having people out there talking about your organization and one person is saying something over here and someone else is saying something totally different because they don't have the information in front of them. So this is why it's very important. Now, some proposals require strategic plans. So you would take pieces of this and incorporate that in a proposal. You could possibly attach it if they wanted to see the whole report, because yours is readable. All right. It all depends on the donor. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, we're going to get right down to business. We are going to go back into breakup groups. All right. You're going to use the community summary that you used on Monday, and you are going to develop a strategic action plan. Now, the strategic action plan has a chart with all the questions that you have to answer. Now, keep going. Keep going. All right, there we go. Okay. This is what you're going to fill out as a group. Now, I am giving you the assignment for your action plan is market expansion. If you remember, after you read the community summary and we got back as a group, one of the issues that you said that you saw was market expansion. So I would like you to go back into your groups now and use market expansion as the issue that you're going to deal with. And you're going to come up with 3 actions that you can take to deal with market expansion. And then you will answer each of these questions for each one of your actions. And you will see how very simple this is. So action number 1 would be, how will it be done? What actions need to happen? So here you will list each of your actions. The next column, how will your organization benefit, and define the beneficiaries? Okay, very important. Your donor wants to know, whoever your donor is, whether it's an organization, a foundation, or an individual, what resources do you already have? What resources do you need? What is the estimated cost per resource needed? Where will you find these needed resources? Who will take the lead? Who is the champion of this need? So within your group, who's the lead? Who's the champion for that particular action? And what is the time frame for each action? Are there any questions? This is pretty fundamental stuff. It's really about thinking. It's really about problem solving and thinking how to work yourself from this problem to a solution. All right. Are there any questions about this? You're going to be given 15 minutes to complete the chart. Now, Mr. Sims will now put you into breakout groups. Have fun.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sims?
All right, everyone. Just as usual, for those who were on last time, we download the chat first, download the document in the chat first, and then we proceed.
While they're doing that, Mr. Sims, I just wanted to reinforce, I had sent it in the chat, that RADA's email, you said you had sent day 3 training session information, but it was
Yes.
bounced. So I spoke to our IT persons, they're working on it. So I'm just asking RADA persons if they have another email address just to use it to register for today until the issue is resolved. So if they have a Yahoo or a Gmail address, just to use that to register.
Thanks very much, Ms. Brown.
How do I go about downloading this page? I'm not seeing anything that giving me that option to download the page.
The link is in the chat, Mr. McGregor.
The link, okay.
The document.
The link is in the chat.
There's a Word document in the chat.
Oh.
And chances are someone in your group would be able to access it.
Okay.
All right, moving over now.
Am I still in group 4?
The groups will change.
I'm not seeing the link, sir. Can you help me? So my granddaughter can help me.
All right, coming up. Who is this? Delia?
Delia,
Miss
yeah.
Delia?
Yeah.
Um, Leslie?
Mr. Sims? Mr. Sims, we need to bring everyone back. Mm. Mr. Sims? Mr. Sims, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay,
I
we
think,
need everyone back.
are you ready to close?
Yes.
All right. I see a lot of them going through the table and filling in this info.
Mr. Raniel, am I calling you?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
guys
yes, sir, Marlon.
us how to do this thing. I was trying to share the document a while ago, and it wouldn't share.
And no one in your group couldn't assist.
They tried, but all we do we end up coming back to the same thing. So we have to read it to each other. We don't read it to them for them to do anything.
All right. My
Can
bad
you
on that
not
one.
send them before? Can you just send them before we come into the session? That's everyone can get them to, you know?
Document.
Yeah, can you send it before the session?
Yes, that can be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, send it before the session. Because it's really awkward to be trying to download it and you don't give us a set amount of time. So we didn't get to do anything much. Because by the time we conclude, so we have to just talk it. Most of the time
Yes,
gone already.
we experience a similar problem. I'm not sure if
I
that's
was
group
going through the
2
group
or
and I
group
realized
2.
that another group one also had a challenge. I was share
Yes,
screening for group one.
group 2 had a similar problem. So if one person had the document and was able to share it with the group, and then we tried to see if we could work together to get it done. So I mean that eat up a lot of our time. We could not believe 50 minutes actually expired.
Yeah.
But it's the experience, so I guess that's a part of it.
Exactly. And with the technology, we have to keep practicing with the technology because the donors are requiring us to do these kinds of things as well. So we have to be comfortable with this because when we go to submit, if we don't use their format, online format, it just falls apart because you haven't practiced with it. Okay. And then when you go to submit, everyone's put all this work into writing the proposal, and then you can't submit it because the person doing it can't access and can't do the technology correctly. So this is a good reminder to us that once you register with a donor online and they have an online application, you copy paste that and put it into a Word document. You start working with it right away, and whoever is going to do the actual submittal, they should go into the application online.
Good morning. Is it
And then
possible for me to
save and draft. Okay, very important. All right. Now, is there anyone who'd like to volunteer to talk about one action that their group decided on?
Group 4. Group 4.
Group 4? Okay.
Yes.
Group 4, we're going to take group 4 first. Who is the spokesperson for group 4?
Harma Edwards Wright.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Okay, good. We had some challenges too, but we managed to overcome them. Quickly.
Yes. Action 1. What is the first action you decided?
Action 1 for us was to reestablish a legally registered cooperative.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Then what's the second answer to that? How will your organization benefit and define the beneficiary?
How will it be done? We will visit the Department of Cooperative and Friendly Society to have the documents renewed.
Okay.
How what actions need? Right. We will do that. Visit and get that done. How will the organization benefit? By having the legally registered cooperative, that's how we'll be able to access the relevant benefits. We'll be able to operate a banking account, and now we have a legally established framework, and that positions us now to access and operate as a cooperative.
Good. Go ahead.
What resources do you already have? we already have all the documentations because it was canceled. So it's really going to seek out what needs to be renewed. And if no renewal, then we are good to go. And all we need is the registration fees.
Okay,
And where will we find the resources for this? We will use in-house funding, the fees from the members,
good.
right?
Okay,
The estimated cost for this is going to be, it's minuscule. We're trying to Google. It's minuscule. So I know for a company, it's gonna be about maybe between 5 and 20,000 Jamaican dollars. So for the
Okay.
cooperative, it's gonna be minuscule. So we didn't stop to do that in the interest of time. Who will take the lead? The newly nominated secretary will take the lead on this. And the time frame is 2 months.
great. Terrific. Okay. Give me another group.
I'm going to volunteer group 3 only because I was screen sharing with them so that they could fill it out.
Okay.
Ask Mr. Dobson to just take us through it.
All right, you want me to take it through?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you enlarge that a little bit more for me?
Okay.
Action, get access to land, to additional lands.
Sorry, let me just.
Action 1.
the
Okay.
one
Get
after.
it. Okay. Get action. Okay. Good. Good.
Is it big enough for you to see now?
Yes.
I can see it.
Yes, I'm seeing now. Yeah.
Okay.
Action 1, get access to additional lands so as to improve our production.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
How does the organization benefit? It will build our revenue base so that the members can benefit and assist the community financially.
Good.
Mm-hmm. What resource do we need? Land and labor. Well, we have land and labor, access to expertise, access to supporting agencies like
Good.
RADA, JS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What resource do you need? Soil testing to be completed so as to make sure we're planting the right type of crop on the land. Access to water, access to transportation.
Very good.
Estimated cost, soil testing $6,000 per sample.
Okay.
And we'd look for an additional $2 million for access to expertise. Maybe, you'd have to have some consultant come in sometime, private persons such as SRC or those other persons. And transportation would be approximately $14 million maybe to get in the right transportation, because we might need a freezer truck or something like that to transport things and so forth. Where will you find these resources? Bogus for soil testing, ALMD, Siri, and Versan.
Okay.
Water, National Irrigation Commission, and vehicle import for transportation.
All right.
Who will take the lead? The organization seeking the grant will take the lead for getting this, the action done.
Okay.
Yeah, and time frame, 1 month for the land, 1 year looking about the water, 4 to 6 months looking about the transportation, because we'll be seeking from the government to give us a duty-free or whatsoever for importation of the vehicle.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Is another group able to volunteer?
Yes, group 8.
Great, Bay. Great. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Well, we did it on the presumption that the group was already established, because we said if we are writing a project document, it's best to have a history from which you can have a background to launch from. So even if it is only 6 months old, we did this from that mind frame. So the first action that we thought to take was to do a community needs assessment.
Good.
So therefore, would find out what needed to be done. So therefore, also contingent to that would be finding out our local markets, hotels and supermarkets, finding out would they be ready for such a service. How put somebody put up back the labels, the templates. I wrote so fast, my handwriting is getting the best of me.
That's okay. Okay.
Thank you. How will the organization benefit and define the beneficiaries? We define those as the local farmers, the PMO, or the cooperative itself, or the association, whatever format that the name of the group took. That would be the main beneficiary. What resources do you already have? We said we had a water source, we had a tentative land tenure through rental. So those were the resources that we had working with. Moving on from that was what resources do you need? So contingent on what we already have, we needed to improve our water source. So we needed to have on-farm water. We had the water, but it wasn't getting to the farm. So we needed to get the water to the farm. So that's a need. We needed legal tenure also for the land. So we needed to sort that out so that we could be more permanent, so that we could put in more permanent crops that would improve expansion on a later stage. We also thought of road access to the location needed to be looked at. The next heading was estimated cost for resources needed. We were looking in the millions. We didn't have any specific figure. Millions. Where will you find the needed resources? Where we thought of other non-governmental organizations, owners, through fundraising and in kind, offering or labor to offset some of these costs. Yeah. Who will take the lead in the championing of this, the executive of the group and any other partner groups that we would be working with. The time frame for this particular action was within the first to second month we were looking at. Okay. And we also got time to do a second action.
No.
No.
Let's give another group a chance. Let's give another.
Group 6, can I share what was done for action 3 from group 6?
Okay.
All right, so for action 3, we had, let me scroll up. How will it be done? What actions need to happen? So our suggestion was to implement, because the aim is to expand the market. So we suggest to implement regulatory requirements needed to get into the export market for fresh produce. Oh. And the other question, I'm scrolling up, sorry. How will the organization benefit? The customers would benefit from the consistent supply of good quality fresh produce that the farmers would have produced. Yes. And the farmers in this case would benefit from training in various food safety systems such as GAP. What is already available, infrastructure. So they may have a packing house or they have the land, but they need to be exposed to the to tailor their system to meet the requirements of that particular food safety system that they will want to meet. So if they want to export overseas, you need to ensure that they meet the requirements for export, and the facility must be in compliance with those requirements.
Right.
Let me go up to the other question. It says, what resources do you need? it would be also the certification for whatever system that is needed for that market, whether US, England, Canada, wherever you're going.
Right.
And the cost, it varies with the system that will be implemented. So the cost varies.
Okay.
Where will you find these needed resources? You can get assistance from consultants, food safety advisors who will be able to help you with implementing the necessary requirements that are needed both on the farm and at your facility. And also you can get assistance from regulatory agencies within the agricultural sector, so you know exactly what to do.
Good.
And who will lead? It would be the I would say the farm group leader or the cooperative leader.
Okay.
And that's it for action 3.
Great. Are there any other groups that have input?
Yes, well, I don't remember which group I am from, but apparently the very first, well, we had a chance only to do one, but the first group did the one that we did, which was to establish the cooperative, to resuscitate the cooperative. However, and then while we were there, I was thinking of another one, and the person who just present that one as well. But what I will say though is to, one action could be to establish the market, all right? So that, because before you start grow, you try to establish a market. That would be what action would be needed. So we'll establish the market.
No,
and then
hold on. The person that wrote down the notes are group 7. Why that person, could you just present what we surmise? The person that wrote down what we said, could you just present it, please?
Who is talking? I'm trying to figure
Group
out.
7, group 7. In room 7 then. The person in room 7 that wrote down what we concluded. Could you just share it with us, please?
Yes. Hello, morning guys. Miss Cherry here. All right. So it was the one where we had the expanded market to recognize the cooperative society.
Okay.
Is it the group?
Yes, just share our full thing. The full thing that everybody come to.
All righty. So for how will it be done? Actions needed. So we'll recognize the cooperative society.
Okay.
How will the organization benefit? It will benefit by we're having organized representation. So more recognition, more volume, better coordination of production. Hence
Persons in the group, other persons in the group can help, to do the presentation.
No. At this point, we don't have enough time for that. So I just need someone to go through it.
Right. So what resources do you have? So we have the capacity to extend. We already have land and water resources.
Okay,
what
good.
resources needed? So training document to be developed to bring in effect the cooperative and its executives. Meeting place to be established, and we'll ask for assistance. Estimated cost, we were thinking about $90,000 for 3 training sessions, and the funds will come from dues and donations given from family members and others. So that's where we're at.
Okay. All right. Are there any other groups that have not given their action yet? Okay. What I'm hoping for is that all of you are able to submit your stuff online back to Mr. Sims, because you have come up with an incredible amount of information that needs to be shared among all of you. Okay? These action plans, templates, look at all the information you have in there. They're kind of bullets. It's not a narrative. This is what you do. This is what you use when you develop a concept paper or when you start writing a proposal. You have the information here. Now all you have to do is expand on it. Maybe you need more information, but you have the bullet points. You know, you've given yourself the direction on how to take the proposal. All right. All of these templates are part of your toolkit. They're part of your roadmap. And once you have them all filled in, you can just pop those things up and you have the information available to you to start writing proposals and concept papers. All right. Are there any questions about what happened? You guys did a great job. I really, really appreciate what you did. And you all seem to get the idea of it. Any questions?
Miss Leslie?
Yes.
From what we did in Group 7, I realized that among the things needed first would be to resuscitate that cooperative society in order for us to get the production coordinated. It's very important that we do. You know, 'cause we have to have these managerial things in place that we don't oversupply or undersupply our clients. So it's very important to get the society back up.
Yeah, and there's a process to do that. And Farmer to Farmer, I know, has supported those kinds of efforts in the past. I don't know if they've done it in Nigeria, I mean in Jamaica, but they've certainly done it in other countries. So I would say to your people, ask for that kind of training and assistance because Farmer to Farmer does have the capacity to assist. Okay? Good.
Okay, can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
For the first one, how will it be done? I'm speaking on behalf of Room 9. We took the position that well, we agree with the cooperative being reestablished and so forth. But the first item, our thinking was we need to determine a particular market, and in this case, we say it would be exports, and it would be targeting the hotels, the guest houses, restaurants on the north coast in the hotel belt, but in particular those from Ocho, since it would be closer to where we are located in St. Mary and St. Anne's border.
Okay.
And so we
let me interrupt you here. Okay.
Sure.
That's a beautiful area. I'd love to do the transportation and marketing there myself. Okay. First of all, you only had a small number of people in your group. Okay. I'm assuming your cooperative will have a lot more members. You need to have that conversation with all the members of the cooperative and let them have their input. Now, they may very well repeat what you're saying, but they need to have ownership of all the issues that they think need to be done. You can't have 2 or 3 people coming up with the solutions for an entire group. You need to get input from everyone. If you can't get them in the same place at one time, then do it through email, do it through Zoom, use your technology to do that. All right, text them, ask them what their most important issue is, what they would do. Start compiling that information. Okay, because when you're requesting, let's say you're requesting Farmer to Farmer to assist you with organizational development for your co-op, okay, one of the things you want to be able to show them is that there is membership ownership and that it's worth it to them to invest skill development in your cooperative. If they believe that you are only an organization of 2 or 3 people who wants to tell everyone else what to do, Farmer to Farmer will not support that. All right?
Yes, clear.
Good.
Right. But what I just said was a consensus of the group. So in this context, I understand the point you're making. In the real life, if we're doing it, that's how we are supposed to operate.
Yes.
But assuming based on the assignment we were given, we are saying that's what the group agreed on.
Okay.
That we would target that area. So I am saying again, because of the specifics of the assignment to say about marketing, is a marketing plan. We took more of a slant towards that as opposed to all of the other development things around it before we reached to the marketing part. So we skipped all of that and went to marketing. So a question I would like to ask, assuming that all of the groundwork, all of the bases have been covered, this is a well-oiled machine, there's enough land, how would farmer to farmer help now in terms of the thrust to get us that additional market? We have the transportation, we just need the expertise to how to go through the export part and for them to find a market or markets for us, or bring in the consultants.
Okay. Farmer to farmer is not going to find the market for you. What they will do is they will train you on how to seek out markets. Okay. They'll train you on the skills of developing a market survey, but they will not find the market for you.
Okay.
Okay. Just like I can't find proposals for you. I can't write proposals for you.
I like that.
Teach
I
you.
like that, Leslie.
Okay, you got it?
I like that, Leslie. I like that. Farmer to farmer, that's their business. They are correct. And Ministry of Agriculture, they are very helpful in terms of helping you to find markets because they have their information there. And that's what I find in Jamaica, you know, they're not going to the right place to get information because every crop I do, I check by ministry. And if they don't know, if they don't have it, they will lead me to somewhere where I can get it. So all you have to do is check with your local Ministry of Industry and they will lead you to market.
I respectfully say to you that if you speak to your RADA representative and you get no help, if you go to the highest level in Ministry of Agriculture and you get no help, if you try members of parliament and you get no help, then where do you go?
Okay.
But that's for another time. But I've taken note of your name, so we'll have a conversation afterwards.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Because some of you have real connections and know how to do it. This is why networking is so important. So I'm very happy that there's a connection here.
Leslie, what he's saying, I have never experienced that. Every time I want information, I've always been furnished with information. So it's good if him contact me because I don't know which world he's living in.
Well, I can concur with him that I have tried and not gotten information.
Okay.
Well, come to me, man. Come to me. I will connect you.
Okay.
We'll link after the session is over.
Okay.
Yes, man.
Okay.
Put your contact in the chat. Put your contacts in the chat.
Guys, okay? All of us have different experiences in everything. I can get through to people that the majority of people cannot get through to. Why is it? I don't know. I have the ability to do that. I've always had that ability. Some people have better skills than others. Some people have better connections. They just have, we all have different skill levels, okay? So here is an opportunity for us to share our skill levels. Now, we're going to move on to the next subject. All right, Mr. Sims, can you bring up the next slide, please? Okay, this is very, very important. What is a revenue raising strategic plan? There are different ways to raise money for your organization, for your nonprofit. There are grants, and that's what I'm here about. I'm helping you understand grants better. However, to get a grant, you must have some money somewhere and somewhere that money. So fundraising is a very important component to your revenue raising. It could be events, it could be campaigns, it could be crowdfunding. There's all kinds of ways of doing fundraising these days. And then the third area is development, individual and corporate donations, and foundations. Foundations are under development. They are not under the grants. Okay? Now, this is important because when you're a startup organization, how much effort in your first year are you going to put into developing grants? How much effort are you going to put into fundraising, and how much effort are you going to put into development? This is very important. If you're a new organization, chances are you don't have what it takes to go after a lot of grants. So in the first year, you're not going to be spending a lot of your time looking for grants. Okay? You probably will be spending a good deal of time in developing fundraising events and campaigns. Now, your first year or two, it's usually low. It's when you do annual events on an ongoing basis that each year you normally get more and more. So it's an investment. In terms of development, going after individuals, corporations, and foundations, okay? Individual donors, wealthy people, and corporations, you have to develop relationships with them, all right? And that takes time. It isn't something that happens overnight. Sometimes it can take 3 to 5 years, just like it takes to start a small business. It takes 3 to 5 years for you to be profitable. It takes 3 to 5 years in most cases to develop a relationship with an individual or a corporation who has money and is willing to donate it. Also, local foundations. Local foundations you should try to develop relationships with. And normally they allow you to come in and visit with them and start that relationship. Foundations outside of your country, you have to start in the competitive process. You look on their website, you see what grants they may have available, and you apply accordingly. So what I'm saying to you is, in the first 3 years of your revenue raising strategic plan, you need to think about what your strategic plan is that you just completed. And when you say, where are we going to get our funds from? Now you look at this chart and you say, how are we going to raise the money to do what we said we wanted to do? So my sense is that in a small startup organization, you're going to spend only 10 to 20% of your time looking for grants. You're only going to spend about 20% on development, looking for individual, corporate, and foundations. So the 60 to 70% of your time in your first year is going to be about fundraising, developing events, developing campaigns. It's not just the fundraising, it's also the visibility, marketing yourself. It's the public relations. Every time you do a fundraiser, more people find out about you and what you do. All right, so fundraising is twofold. It's about raising money, and it's about raising awareness about what you do and how you do it. All right.
Can I comment anywhere here?
Sorry, Mr. Dawson, I've seen a question in the chat and the person even has their hand up. So, Ms. Michelle?
Okay. Can I have the first question?
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi.
So, all right, so I was listening to your point just now and I was wondering, suppose, for example, the organization that you're starting, it's not very small. So maybe somebody who would have been in, you know, in the corporate sector and they want to transition. So they have a little bit of money, not enough to fund everything that they want, but enough to meet matching to, you know, to satisfy the matching requirements for grants and so on. Would it be recommended that they seek grants in the first year, or is there an unspoken rule that grant giving organizations don't give to brand new companies?
You have a better chance at seed grants and small grants if you have a pocket of money. Okay. If you don't have $10,000, $20,000 sitting in a bank because of your founder bringing that money with them, you're not going to spend a lot of time looking for grants. Now, if your founder comes in with $20,000 or $100,000, he or she is in a much better position to go to corporations and foundations and individuals and say, I am looking for a donation. I think so much of my organization. I have brought this much money. Now I would like someone else to add money to my organization so that we can do more work. Now, that kind of situation is that corporations and individuals like that because there's someone who's already invested in them. All right. Sometimes new board members will come on and give a donation.
Okay.
$1,000. If you've got 5 board members and you got, you know, $1,000 from each one of them, that's $5,000. That helps you with other people and local corporations to want to give.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
It's not a question I have, but just a comment on what we did when we were, as an organization that has nothing, and we were starting up. We had asked our members to pay shares of $1,250 each. So that was part of what we have at funding. But we couldn't use the shareholding funding to do what we want. And we did a fundraiser, fish fry. And we almost did it from nothing. Ask farmers to come in with whatsoever they could, cassava, sweet potato, and whatsoever. So those are the things that we would have used. When I go for the ticket, I went to a virgin and asked him, explain everything to him, and said to him, say, if he can print with 300 tickets and things, if we can owe him for them and support. And explaining good and proper, him say, yeah, man, all right. So when we sell those tickets, what we did was part proceed with the high school. So we let the high school teachers help us sell the tickets and they buy their lunch there on that day too also. Great. That help us with visibility. We make some funding where we were now able to pay for our registration with the Department of Cooperative, buy the high school a 1,000 gallon tank, water tank, so that they could use that with their poultry area. And so that is where we get visibility. And that is where we begin having some funds and having a record of doing fundraising so that and when we turn to donors, we could show that, yes, we were doing these type of things and so forth.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
The other thing is that a new organization, even an organization that's been around a long time, a lot of people don't know what you do. Yeah. And maybe you decide your first activity is you're going to put on a family fair, all right? And you're going to do it in July. And this is your first annual family fair. And you get maybe 100 people and they've enjoyed themselves, okay? Did they care it was your organization or what you do? No, they came because it's a family fair and they have a nice place to take their kids, okay? Now you have an information booth and you have information available, okay? Now the second year, People are now talking. Oh, wow, that family fair was really great. More people come. They find out about you. Is it important that people care about what you do when they come to your different events? Absolutely not. Who cares? They're coming to the event, they're participating, they're going to learn something, but they're also donating to your cause. You're giving them something and they're giving you something. Okay, you're giving them a good time for their family. They're coming in and they're paying the whatever cost it is to get in there. All right. So that's a good relationship. And over time, then people see that you have value as an organization. They hear more about you. Oh, yeah. Hey, aren't they the ones that put on that family fair? Oh, yeah. Oh, so they do healthy food too. Wow. Now I understand. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Sims, can you move us on to the next slide? Mr. Sims? Next one. Aha. Okay. This is very important. I need you to start thinking about how you're going to craft a platform statement for yourself. A platform statement might be referred to as a position paper or a white paper, but in terms of an organization, you call it a platform statement. Who are you? What do you stand for? All right. And then what do we use a platform statement for? How do we use it? Okay. A platform statement should not be more than 1 page. It's included in your strategic plan report, but it's also something that you can have with you when you meet with a prospective donor, a prospective new partner. It's something you can hand them. It's also something you can attach to an email when you request a meeting with a new person or a new agency or a new possible donor, so that they have an idea of who you are before you walk in that door. All right. You also have a script in terms of describing your organization the way the organization wants it described. Each one of us who works for an organization, we actually represent our organizations, even if we are not the top person. Every time we talk about our organization to someone else, we're saying something about the organization. We need to make sure that what we say is true and it's in line with how we project ourselves in the statement we use. Okay. A platform statement is very simply, you use this template. All right. You do it in bullet form in the template. Once you've got the bullets, it's easy to make it into a 1-page narrative. Don't make anything difficult for yourself. All right. Don't start with the narrative. Start with putting bullets in each of these areas to answer the question. So, what do you want to address in a platform statement? I want people to know what my organization is currently doing. Okay, couple bullets. I want to identify what's important to my organization. Now, some of that is already in my vision and mission statement. So I'm not having to come up with too much more. I want to define what my institution wants to achieve. Okay. Here you can reflect on your mission within the vision. Or you can reflect on something that is going on within your sector, whether it's agriculture, or whether it's the economy, or whether it's inequities within your culture and society. Whatever that is, you want to be able to say that. But you put it in bullet form so that when you put it in a narrative, you're going to write it concisely. You're not going to go on for a page about it. You want to describe your organization's capacity to achieve its goals. Why are we able to do that? What do we have in place? We're not talking about our weaknesses or where we need more. Right now, we're talking about what we have and what our capacity currently is. Then we want to describe our institution's understanding of the public-private partnerships and our desire to establish such relationships by giving examples of existing networking and partnership relationships. Okay? We want to show that we believe in partnering. We believe in relationships. And we want to show people that we already do that and who we do that with. We can also say who else we would like to do that with. All right. You put this in bullet form and you have the basis of a narrative for a one-page platform statement, which will come in handy in so many ways. And you can use it at the beginning of any concept or proposal that you write. You've got the basis of your background and who you stand for. Any questions about this? Has anyone ever written a platform statement before?
No, I've never written that in when I'm doing grant, but listening to you, it's basically about what your mission and your vision is.
It's more than that. It's more than that because you really want to say what your organization's place in your society, in your nation, in the world is, and how you see yourself in relation to that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. It's about ethics and morals. All right. And desire to achieve something and to be part of something, not to be a solo organization, but we want to be part of something bigger. All right. Yeah. We see ourselves that way. Good. Has anyone else had experience with a platform statement? Has anyone else?
No.
I have not, but I think I've seen like organizations.
The experience I have was to develop like an elevator pitch. How would you compare that to this?
An elevator pitch is more like a sales pitch. That's a sales pitch. Okay. A platform statement is basically saying who we are and what we stand for. See, that's the big thing. What do we stand for? And how can I show you that we do stand for that? What practical ways can I show you that we do what we say we're going to do? All right. If you do any kind of advocacy, if you do any kind of working with government in terms of wanting to make things better, sometimes you're involved on committees to change rules and regulations, to assess current situations. Platform statement is a good way to introduce yourself to the committee and its members.
Hello.
All right. This isn't necessarily something you have on your web page. This is something you use to say, I'm an ethical person and I work for an ethical organization and we believe in doing things right. That's more of what a platform statement is than anything else. And in this world right now, it's more and more important to be able to have an ethical statement because many sectors and many professions don't have an ethics agreement in order to be part of that profession. So you want to be upfront about this. Our organization is ethical, and everyone within our organization is ethical. And we work within our sector and our community and our country ethically. And this is who we also work with. And this is how we represent ourselves. All right, so there is value to a platform statement. And as you can see by the template, it is not difficult to do. Throw a bunch of bullets in there, all right? And then when the time comes, it's easy to write a one-page narrative when you need it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions? Oh, someone's battery's going.
If
Have a
so,
nice
if
weekend.
failure, hello?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, failure to produce this document, would it hinder our chances of getting the grant?
Does it help getting a grant? Of course it does, because that's one of your
Or would it hinder it? Would it stop us from getting the grant then?
Why would it stop you from getting a grant?
No, I'm just asking how detrimental it is to see how significant it is.
First of all, you're not necessarily going to include this as a document attached to your proposal.
Oh, okay.
But you will refer to it when you're writing about yourself. All right. You don't have to come up with that language when you start writing the narrative for a proposal. You already know you have that written in a platform statement. You just pull up your platform statement and take what you need out of it.
Okay.
What we're doing here is trying to piece together lots of information in simple templates that you can use when you put together a proposal or a concept paper. All the stuff is there. You just have to kind of pull out what you need. But it's much easier to do it when you have templates to look for the information. Any other questions? Okay. We're moving on to what is gender responsive budgeting? Simply said, it's the inclusive gender and diversity participation in the development of a budget. Now that sounds simple, but let me tell you, it is one of the biggest challenges globally right now when it comes to budgeting. And let me give you a couple examples of not including a community when you're conceptualizing and developing a project, and not including gender cost to the budget to match up with your narrative and your project. One example, I was in the West Bank, Palestine, and I was asked to go and visit a school that was built by the client I was writing a grant for. And it was a lovely school up in the mountains. It was gorgeous. Now, I was there, the school was a year and a half old. There was no one in the school. There were holes in the floors. There was piping that had been stripped. And children were not going to that school. okay? Within a couple weeks of opening the school basically closed down. It was a state-of-the-art school. How did that happen and why did it happen? In the back of the school, they had an entire unit of outhouses, facilities. They do that in schools there. So it's separate from the building, all right? It's about, I don't know, about 100 yards in the back of the building. And there was a whole line. There must have been, I don't know, 50. Okay. The property had been immaculate. There was security in place, but after no one showed up, the security went away because nobody could afford security. Why was it vacant? The West Bank and Palestine is a Muslim world. Okay. So you have Muslim teachers and Muslim children going to this school. In the back of the building, you have 50 facilities. All together. The Muslim religion does not allow that. They had to be separated. No one understood that, and it wasn't until they came back for a one-year evaluation and they finally asked people, and people said, we can't send our kids there. The teachers said, we can't go there. We can't teach there. There is no adequate facilities for us. We're talking, I don't know, $150 million to build that school. It was never used because no one considered the gender issues. A simple question, a simple participation of both male and female at that table would have solved that problem. Okay, that's one example. Another example was in the Congo. They built a school and they built a wonderful set of outhouses in the back, facilities. It was great. After 6 months, the school was no longer being used. Well, no one bothered to bring males and females to the table when they did the planning of the school and the construction of the school. This was in a compound, and there were a number of villages that surrounded this compound. None of the villages had these kinds of facilities, restroom facilities. So people were coming and using the facilities during school hours. And as a result, the young boys and girls were not only intimidated, but in fact were being molested and violated as a result. And parents took their kids out of school as a result. The other thing was you had rebel soldiers up in the hills who were coming down and using the facilities, and they were dangerous to the children. Okay, so there are two examples of how you don't include gender and diversity in your project development or in your budget development. Now you can say, well, we built the facilities, but you weren't looking at it from a gender or diverse, in this case, religious perspective to see what else was needed, there would have been no cost at all to the West Bank to divide those facilities, one on one side, one on the other. For the Congo, it would have been a simple hiring of security. One security person would have been all that was needed. And that wasn't done. Okay? On the brighter side of things, when I do a face-to-face training, I use an exercise in developing a shrimp market. Okay, because I started this exercise in Nigeria. So what we said was, okay, you got a shrimp business. You want to enlarge your shrimp business. You want to make more money. Now, in agriculture in Nigeria, the majority of the people in the field are men, especially the business owners. There is a smaller group of women. All right. So we divided people up into small groups, and one group was all women, and all the rest were men groups. And I asked them to put together a business plan, a very simple business plan on how they would make more money. What would their plan be? Okay. And what was interesting, and this is, I would say that this is, even though it's not stereotyping, it's pretty close to what happens. When men think about making more money, they think about doing more. So if you have a shrimp business, their idea is farm more shrimp, increase your quantity of shrimp, and you can make more money. Okay. The issue is that at some point, if you're really successful at doing that, you're going to flood your local market. And then you're going to be starting to make less money for the same amount of work that you're producing. Okay. Now, the women's group had a very different outlook because women see shrimp as food. Men see it as a commodity. So women think of food in terms of quality. They said, if we increase the quality of shrimp, we will open up a new market for a better quality. Well, the issue with that is, okay, in order to do that, there's a huge financial investment in terms of standardization, new machinery, training, capacity building. So it may take you 3 to 5 years to start making the money that you wanted. Now, if you combine the male version and the female version together, quantity versus quality, the quantity is making a lot of money up front, which then can be used instead of for cruises and new clothes. You can use it to invest in the quality side of the business. And then within 3 years, both sides of your organization, quality and quantity, has increased. You're making incredible profit. And because you're investing in the quality side, you're not saturating your market on the quantity side. So that's the difference in terms of gender budgeting. Looking at it with a holistic view. So when you put together a budget, you need to do the same thing. And in diversity, first of all, gender is now not just male and female. And I am not going to get into a political statement on any of that. We just need to understand that legally and across the globe, donors are looking at the definition of gender as being inclusive. Male, female, and anything in between. When you look at diversity, you're looking at everything from age to disability to race, color, ethnicity.
Excuse me, Leslie.
Yes.
When there is male, female, what else can be between? Either a male or a female?
So
Well,
let's not go into all of that politics and get the information, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, that's exactly it. And when I write in proposals, I say inclusive gender. I say inclusive diversity so that I don't have to break it down. Because I don't want to deal with other people's views. I don't necessarily understand a particular donor or foundation. They may say they support something, but in fact, they may not totally support every component of it. You don't want to go there. When you say inclusive, okay, you include it and you are not specifying. Now, if you're going for specific funding for a specific diversity or gender, that's when you would document and define what you're talking about.
It is best this time if we, because most donors are asking 30, 70 or 40, 60 when we are doing project proposal now in female and male. They wanted to have at least even out of the 100%, even 30 to 40% female. So that is what is happening. So we got to make sure we think that way as we go along.
Yes, and you need to know, and you have to make sure that the budget reflects the needs of inclusive gender and inclusive diversity. The one example I gave you in Palestine, it was both religion and gender. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
In the Congo, it was definitely just age and gender. All right? So again, if people are sitting at the table and they've got their thinking cap on, when you go to put together the budget, you want to make sure that the budget reflects, okay, all the costs that are going to be needed to meet the needs of the people you're going to serve. Is there any specific question that anyone has? No? Okay. Let's go on to the next area. Okay. We don't have a whole lot of time, so this will be brought into next week, our final session. We have said most of this before, that your budget must align with your narrative, okay? Must align with it. And that basically incorporates that whole idea of gender budget, gender responsive budgeting. All right. I am going to give you a weekend work assignment. Mr. Sims is going to get you a document. It's going to be 10 pages long. At the end of that document, there is a chart that you will fill out. This is a document of grant announcements. And in the chart, you will tell me, you will answer 3 questions, I believe, or maybe a little more, about each grant and eligibility. Is your organization eligible for the particular grants that are listed? Grant announcements. Okay? This is part of the assessment process. You want to know how to find grants. All right, let's look at the first one. Okay, the first one says it's a UNDP grant for Jamaica. All right. That sounds interesting. Now, let's go all the way to the end of the document, Mr. Sims. Right to the end. Here is the chart you're going to fill out for each of the 7 announcements. You're going to say whether you're eligible, whether that announcement grant meets your organizational's needs, will you need partners, and do you have the organizational capacity to do that project? Okay? Are there any questions? Good. Thank you. This will help you quickly discern whether you should be looking at a particular grant or not. Now, I get emails every single day with lists of grant announcements, proposal announcements, and I have to quickly decide whether I should look at it or not. Now, since my first conversation with my team here in Jamaica back in December, every time one of these emails came in with a listing, the first thing I looked for is Jamaica and agriculture and then Caribbean. Didn't even read it. Copy and pasted it into a file and stuck it into my Jamaica file. All right. Because I don't have the time to look at them then, but I knew they might be of value to some of you at some point. All right. Now, are there any questions about the assignment? If not, this is the end of session 4. I just want to say that for those of you who want certificates, there are 2 things you must do. You must complete the post test. Okay, the post test. Many of you might not have gotten the pre-test, but you must complete the post test and you must complete the evaluation form. It's a USAID evaluation form. Both of those are essential to receiving a certificate. And I'll explain more about that in our next session.
Where are the forms? Are the forms online there?
Mr. Sims will make them available to you next session.
Okay.
Just a question about the weekend. Should it be done as a group or individually?
I don't care. I really don't care. If you want to do it as a group, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think we have come to the end of our 4th session. I can't believe that it's almost over already because next week is really the final session. It is really, really good information. So I want to thank you so much again, Leslie, for another interesting session. I also see some of the hardworking team from USAID that is on. I see Mr. Lewin, Garrett Lewin, and Ms. Marsha Johnson, who is the director of USAID, and our local consultant, Dr. Waldo. She was on earlier. I'm not sure she's on now. But just to say, it really took a lot of effort and persons working together to make it possible. And I always sound like I'm signing now because I'm just so grateful for it. I'm almost feeling like I'm doing a thank you every I come out of times every time the session ends because it is so good. You know, I can't stop but thank you all for joining and for participating because you also make it interesting. If you're not answering questions, or even asking questions, it wouldn't have been this participatory. And I like too that we're also making the linkages. So it is really a good effort so that we Jamaicans can really do something when we really want to and do positive things, not always the negative things that we're hearing about. So thank you all for joining us again. And please, everybody, we look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday, the 27th of January, 2021 at 10 a.m. sharp. It's the final session. Do not miss it. This is it. There's no more. So make sure to log on early. So thank you again and have a safe and wonderful weekend.
Thank you, and please.
You too, Miss Brown.
Right,
Brown,
thank you,
just
Ms.
a quick
Brown.
question.